Okay. Heads going live, bullet going live, V-Lock going live, plug going live. Bend your back and bust it, ho. 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 Heads going live, bullet going live, V-Lock going live, plug going live.
Want to see something dope? Welcome to Dope in the Garage.
Okay. Going live.
Welcome back to another episode of Dope in the Garage. I am your dope dealer, Jason. We here at Dope in the Garage, of course, do this show for the culture, from the culture. And we got a very special guest in the house, somebody that is authentic Atlanta. Let's give it up for our special guest, coming to you from Fox's Star, Miss Lawrence. What's going on? Hi. Welcome. Welcome to Dope in the Garage. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. It feels
Good.
good.
We're glad you joined us here.
I like Dope in the Garage.
Well, we Dope in the
I think
Garage
it's a
like
play
you.
on words. I like that.
That's right, we are dope dealers. We try to bring you the dopest stuff. What's hotter than somebody that's on one of the #1 shows on Fox right now?
Exactly.
Oh,
Playing Miss Bruce.
I do what I can while I
Miss
can.
Bruce.
In authentic Atlanta.
Authentic
That's all
Atlanta.
about it.
For those of you that don't know, Miss Lawrence is born and raised right here in the ATL.
On the South Side.
On the South
South
Side.
Side.
So how does it feel being an Atlanta native and now shooting a great show, a #1 hit show that's based in Atlanta?
Me being on Star and the way that it's shot and the stories that the show Star tells, it allows me to have a very nostalgic feel of Atlanta. Me playing my character, Miss Bruce, I get to reflect on those kind of hood hairstylists back in the day
Definitely, because we see Queen Latifah rocking them hair show hairdos. That's what we call them, hair show hairdos.
Everybody knows. Remember the whole thing? What was I mean, you know it, Foxy.
Oh yeah.
The
We
whole,
waiting on you at the door. We was waiting
Yeah, I was waiting on you at the door.
Ah.
Well, Foxy is a hairstylist, and I knew her from way back in the day when I used to work downtown in the underground. Yeah. And Foxy she was also one of them girls that was very, just real ratchet. Very,
I can tell waiting on you at the door.
Yeah. But love. I mean, just it's incredible. Back then, in that era of my growing up, Atlanta was full of authenticity.
Yeah.
It was full of authenticity, and tying it back into Star, it feels good to be able to play my character, Miss Bruce.
Yeah, we get to see Miss Bruce do a whole gambit of singing and dancing. They don't just use you, the beautiful things, they don't just use you as a shoulder piece for Queen Latifah's character.
Mm-hmm.
You actually get involved and engaged in the musical aspect of the show.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of you don't know is me and Miss Lawrence, we go way back. We used to sing in the church choir together.
Yes.
Way back when I was
Yes.
about 10 years old. And Miss Lawrence has always had a powerful voice, even before the world got to see it. So where do you think that will take you next? How do you, see yourself guiding with that?
It's going well. It's going slow. How I like things too, because I think when you take your time in progressing, you last longer. Now you can't control how the universe can do stuff for you overnight, but in terms of preparation and preparing yourself, take your time to make sure your foundation is set and it's built correctly, so that way when you're there, wherever you plateau at, it lasts.
Exactly.
It's not about whether society may deem you as a one-hit wonder or or unsung hero.
Right.
When your foundation is set, you've built it yourself, and so it lasts forever.
It definitely does.
Okay.
Setting that foundation.
How did you get your start, for those who don't know? We're talking about the future, but how did you land into TV and film, the TV and film world?
Growing up, I was always infatuated with the arts culture. Acting, singing, dancing. As Jason said earlier, we used to sing in the choir. I was a choir girl. And I would do little stage plays here and there. I would participate in the school choir, and you know.
Because you went to Tri-Cities, right?
I went to graduated from Tri-Cities High School. Yes.
And Tri-Cities, for those who don't know, N&A, that's, you know, they produce a lot of talent. We had
Yeah,
the
a lot
girls
of
from
musicians.
Candy.
Yeah.
We had
Big Boy.
Outkast.
Was Dre there too? Big Boy and Dre?
Dre didn't go. I think Dre went to Benjamin E. Mays. I think.
Yeah, he went to
I know. Big
Big
Boy
Boy did. Mhm.
went
He went
to Tri-Cities.
And D Woods from Dandy
Oh,
Kane.
okay.
I mean, they
Yeah, they're
produce
from
a
Atlanta.
lot of talent.
We
so-
have a lot of actually Broadway, very successful Broadway people as well that came out of Tri-Cities. It was a performing arts high school. So
Right.
that was honestly my initial introduction to the arts
And theater.
and things like that. Never did anything outside of that. When because I also got into the beauty industry while I was in high school.
Right.
I worked as an assistant starting at the age of 15.
Oh, wow.
And you know, doing like my girlfriend's hair and stuff like that on the side. But I started as an assistant downtown in Underground, as I said, as an assistant, and I loved, and I still love the beauty industry. I love the idea that beauty can transform someone's
Yes.
energy, whether it's a man or a woman. I just
Exactly.
happen
So
to
true.
be, you know, a hairstylist to women, and being a part of a woman's evolution with self,
Yes.
with respect to beauty, it was always very powerful for me.
Yeah.
And I did my thing in it. You know, I gave it 110%. I was in the beauty industry for 20 years.
Wow.
And, you know, through that, I garnered forever lasting relationships. I have about 7 proteges that, you know, I'm responsible for, and they now have extremely fruitful and
Wow.
big careers.
That's
And
good.
I never desired to be a trans woman, never desired to be a woman or anything of that nature, but I was always very in tune with my feminine side.
Exactly.
And my clients through the years, my friends through the years, just always call me like Miss Lawrence, you know? And so it just became a thing. And the more and more I progressed in the industry, my clientele broadened, my relationships broadened, I grew a lot, and I garnered really, really good, solid friendships. I'd done a Bronner Brothers hair show. I'd done a hair battle here in Atlanta. And back then, there was nobody really walking around with, you know, a pump-on, a lip
Yeah.
honey, and, you know, a handbag. And back then, I didn't really know how to do my makeup, so it was a little awful. But but I was up in pieces. You know, I was always done. And I got, there were only 2 people, honestly, that I had seen that I was enamored by, and you know, I said, "Wow!" And that was my sister Christian, Geisha Boy. He's known on Instagram, or Christian Balenciaga, and London Richelieu.
Okay.
Back then, she was a young man, and she's now transitioned. She's open about that, so I don't mind saying it. They were the only ones that I saw that lived just
Free in their truth.
Just did what they wanted,
Yeah.
did what they wanted to do. And they definitely put marks on me. But anyway, going back to the hair show, in 2005, I went to a premiere. They were doing the hair show movie. It was called Hair Show with Monique.
Okay,
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that.
I remember
Okay.
that.
I got invited to the premiere that was at the Woodruff Art Center. And I walked in and I had on, I always been in labels, honey. always wore labels.
Always
and
coming through.
I always wore nice garments and things. But anyway, I had on a Gianfranco Ferré whole number. I had the skirt on with it was a terry cloth bomber jacket. And it had the big GF in the back. And I had the black and white Cassidy booties on. They were patent leather. And I had a bag with me. I forgot who the bag was. But in the bag, I had a set of comp cards. I was always taught, you gotta promote, you gotta promote, you gotta be out,
ready.
you gotta
Always
be
be
out
prepared.
passing out
That's
cards,
right.
you gotta be ready. And back then, we had no social media. You just had yourself,
Self.
how you looked, and your
Right.
cards. And
Walking Instagram.
yeah, I walked around
With a
and I
filter
passed
on.
out them cards. And on my cards, it said hairstylist or master cosmetology, whatever. Cosmetologist Lawrence Washington. That's my name. That's my name. And it said ostentatiously stylish and deliberately chic.
Come on now.
She. So that's what the cards had on there. And Monique approached me, and she was like, she got life, and she looked at one of my cards, and she was like, yeah, she. She started calling me she. So she started calling me she. Anyway, it was a great night. Met a lot of people. Of course, a lot of side eyes. You know,
Yeah,
back
of
we
course.
talking about back in the early 2000s, honey. It was not of the norm to see a nonconformist walking around
Right.
around us. And I get a phone call literally a week later from one of the heads over at the hair company that was putting on the hair show, and they said, "We want to extend an invitation for you to come and compete at this hair battle."
Wow.
It's invitation only, because back then it was invitation only. And they said you would be the only rookie. Everybody else has, you know, they're legends, they've competed, Anyway, I went, I slayed it. It was 10s across the board. I literally lost by 1 point.
Wow.
It was incredible. But that was a very integral part of my success in the beauty industry, because from that, I was able to go on and move to another salon that was the creme de la cruciala in
Hey.
Atlanta of hair salons, and that was Saya Salon and Spa.
Right.
Before that, I worked at Escape Hair Salon, which was also major. I worked there as well, but when I got to Saya, that's when I saw a shift in my clientele.
Your
I started to
clientele,
garner
exactly.
a more upper echelon clientele, and that is where I met Sheree Whitfield
Right.
Okay.
Housewives of Atlanta.
from Housewives of Atlanta.
Atlanta.
She wasn't a client. We actually became friends. She used to own a store here called Bella Azul.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
No.
it was honey. The boutique was everything. I mean, she sold. I mean, Catherine Malandrino. She had the
Oh,
pieces in there. It was
wow.
crazy. And
It's nice.
she used to think I was coming in there to shop like I was a stylist or something, because it was a women's clothing store. And then one day I was like, I need a dressing room.
Right.
And then she's like, you buying this stuff for yourself? I was like, yeah, because I would spend coins. You know, spend coins.
She like, you gotta be
And
sure.
she was
Big
giving
spending bread.
And she was giving, well, you know, and so anyway, we just clicked, became
Right.
friends, and when Housewives of Atlanta came about, the inception, she was like, you know, listen, these people are reaching out, trying to get me to do this show, Housewives of Atlanta. At that time, there was only Orange County Housewives. I had seen 1 or 2 episodes, so I was familiar with the brand, and she was like, you know, I gotta create, I gotta have people around me, She was like, so I was figuring maybe you could just be my hairstylist, and you know, just maybe you could be on the show. I was like, okay, whatever.
Right.
You know, that's how I became Sheree's hairstylist.
Right.
And we shot like the first episode, and I would never forget, one of the producers told me what made us reach out to you, aside from Sheree, and actually extend a real B character position
Right.
and contract, was that you came to Sheree's party. I had on a white cashmere Prada coat that was all the way to the floor.
Come on,
I had on
Florlin.
black
Florlin.
suede blonic thigh-high boots, a skinny jean, and a black Catherine Malandrino blouse. And the producers had nobody seen them. They was like, well, what the hell is? They was like, well, wait a
Yes.
minute. So they paid attention to me, and that's what made them offer me to be a fixture on the show.
Exactly.
Right.
But there's nothing I went after. I was
Right.
just being me. I was always like that, you know. I was just being me. So I'm sitting in class, literally. It was a very hard class. I never finished it, by the way.
Well, thank God you never
I
finished
never
it.
finished it. I get the phone call from Andy Cohen, and he's like, hey, it's Andy Cohen. I didn't believe him, so I cussed the person like I thought it was my friends
Right. Stop
Right.
playing with
playing
me.
with me. So I cussed him out, and he was like, no, it's really Andy Cohen. I said, so keep talking, let me hear your voice. And it was him. And he said, I want to offer, there's a show I've been thinking about called Fashion Queens. Do you know Bevy Smith? And I was like, we met once before. He said, well, I'm thinking about it with you and Bevy. And he said, and I'm thinking Derek J. I said, okay. And it's still just kind of all, you know, I'm just like, oh, wow, okay.
Right.
Very surreal. So anyway, got off the phone there, and I left the class, and I never went back.
It was hard anyway. It was a hard class.
But thank God, because had you
Yes.
finished that class, we'll be somewhere trying to buy a house from you as opposed to talking to
Honey.
you in the chair
Right.
on
Right.
Fox.
Wait,
You know, making the ratings go through the roof with Miss Bruce.
Right.
and left there, did Fashion Queens. Fashion Queens was incredible. It was a hit.
Yeah.
We came on at 11:30 at night on Bravo, and we garnered at least 1 million views per episode.
Yeah.
Now, see,
And
that's
I
love.
think our lowest might have been 700,000. But on the show, we talked about pop culture, we talked about fashion, and we gave commentary on it. But I think what contributed to the success of Fashion Queens was the fact that you had 3 talented individuals
Yes.
that was not of societal norms as it relates to
True.
what,
It was, right.
what
Exactly.
media portrays to be perfect talent.
The three of you definitely broke the mold on what people
Yeah.
saw a
Exactly.
successful group of people being. You know,
Right.
Baby, you and Derek J
Correct.
being your most authentic selves and your heels and bags and everything else.
Right.
Baby Smith being a chocolate sister.
Chocolate curvy woman.
Plush, you know, a
Yes.
plush
Yeah.
girl, as we say. She's not 20 years old.
Yeah.
So she brought a whole new face to
Yes.
Bravo,
Yeah.
to late
Agreed.
night. And we
Exactly.
appreciate y'all for that because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
more of our faces we get to see on TV, the more we know we can do stuff like Dope in the Garage.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was good. It felt good. We built a real family there at Embassy Row, and it was smart. It was very smart on Andy Cohen's decision. And when Fashion Queens went away, when it was canceled, for whatever reasons, it had nothing to do with ratings. I'll tell you that. For whatever reasons, it wasn't a somber feeling.
Right.
Right.
We
It
were
was-
still very celebratory, and
Right.
we were thankful because we knew that we had done something that had never
Right.
been done. And I was in Los Angeles one time. I was sitting at Crustacean's restaurant, and I was approached by a man who said, "I'm a fan of you all's show, Fashion Queens. I'm a fan of your work. I love what you deliver. And he said, I'm also a friend of Bevy Smith. Let her know that you met Lee Daniels.
Wow.
And I said, okay, wow. And at that time, I didn't know who Lee Daniels was.
Right.
I knew once my girlfriend, broke down his body of work after he left the table, then I'm like, oh. Wow, okay.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, Precious came out.
Oh, okay.
And excuse me, not Precious, The Butler. The Butler came out, and he had already done Precious. And months later, I'm fooling around in Bevy's dressing room. This is before we got done with Fashion Queens. We were in our final season, and I loved going in monologues and just doing crazy
Yeah,
stuff,
the
playing around
improv.
behind the scenes. And Bevy recorded me one day doing a monologue of Cookie Lyons and Jamal Lyons from Empire, because by now he had started Empire. And she recorded me and sent it to him, just as a key.
Yeah.
And then,
Playing around.
then he reached out to me. Then I ran into him again at a Stonewall Gala in New York City when he was honored. And we talked, chit-chatted for a minute, just about whatever. Then he reached back out to Bevy some time later, and he said, someone told me that Ms. Lawrence can sing. And then Bevy's like, oh my God, like a bird. And she said, have him record something and send it to me right away. So I was like, what? I said, what? I don't
What
know
is
what
going on?
I said, well, I don't know what to sing. She said, child, sing something. Well, I found out that he was thinking about doing a movie on an iconic gender fluid individual. I won't say the name yet because I don't know if he's still planning to do it or not. But anyway, so I went to my hotel that night. I was in New York, and I recorded a song by Sylvester called Mighty Real.
Oh, yeah.
I love
it.
And I sent it to him, and he called me. That was on a Friday. I was back home by Monday. I was in my house cleaning up. He called me. He got my number from Bevy. And I'm like, hello? He's like, hey, girl. I said, hey, who is this? He said, it's Lee Daniels. So I'm just like, okay.
You getting these calls.
I'm like, hi.
All right.
He said, oh my God. He said, I'm going to work with you. He said, hold on, somebody wants to speak to you. And his other voice gets on the phone, and he's like, hey, Miss Lawrence. He said, it's Lenny Kravitz.
Okay.
Yeah, so he and Lee
Go to phone.
are
Just
very,
go to
very
phone.
close. They're like best friends.
So you sitting here unexpected, you get
I'm
called
sitting
an
here. I'm
an
cleaning up.
icon.
I'm
Because
sitting on my
Lenny did do
bed.
Precious. I just thought about that. He did.
He
do
did
Oh,
Precious.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he's on
Stars.
Empire as well.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, I just saw the thing you sent Lee. He's like, I'm a huge fan of yours, and your future's bright, And that was a real moment for me.
Yes.
Fast forwarding, Lee said, we're gonna work together. I don't know what, but I'm gonna do something with you. I run into him I was doing some work for the National Action Network in New York. Lee was also getting honored again that he had at the gala. And so I saw him at the gala. He said, listen, I think I'm gonna put you on Empire. I said, oh wow. I said, okay. And I'm not a person that shows a lot of emotion. I can be extremely excited and you'll never know it.
Okay, yeah.
I can be sad, you'll never know
Right.
it. I don't show, it's hard for me to show a lot of emotion. But anyway, in public. And I'm like, okay, wow, okay, thank you. So actually before I left New York, I think I was up there for a couple weeks. Before I left, I'm sitting on the plane. I get a phone call from him again. He's like, "Listen, you're gonna be on Empire. You're gonna be in the first episode, season 2. I'm trying to get Fox to let you sing. They haven't approved it yet, but just know that we're gonna shoot somewhere around June. Da 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 da. So just be on the lookout. I'm gonna have someone from casting call you and take it from there." I'm like, okay. He got it approved for me to sing. He had me to sing Sylvester, the song that I sent him an audition tape of. Sylvester Mighty Real laying on a piano.
I love that episode.
Very Lola Falana style.
I love that episode.
These kids don't know who Lola Falana is.
I had to honey Google her. I had to slide off of the piano, and we did our scene. Jussie Smollett, Gabourey Sidibe were extremely inviting, very encouraging, and it was an incredible, incredible scene. And because of that, while Lee was developing, or in the very beginning stages of developing Star, I didn't know. Because of that, he started to develop this character for me.
Right.
And
That's
so,
what I was going to ask. Did he actually develop that character around you as a person?
He knew that I could pull that character off.
Yeah.
He wanted a character that was of the gender non-conforming spectrum who is gay. And he knew that I could pull the character off.
Wait a minute, you gay?
And so it was, we collaborated on what Miss Bruce looks like. Here I am now and going into season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3 of Star, and now you're at your biggest moment because you're here with us at Dope in the Garage.
Yeah.
What's bigger than Dope in the Garage?
I just feel
No,
like
it's-
that it's just two takeaways. Like for me, for one, I just feel like when you're chosen, you're chosen.
You chose.
Because just the reoccurring thing is people are calling you. You're not making the calls; they're calling you.
Well, here's what's important, and I think people should know. We all have a very dynamic path laid out for us. But it is up to you and how you operate, what your walk looks like, whether or not you get to experience the greatness that's already laid out for you.
Yeah, I feel that.
And one of my biggest seeds that I like to make sure that I put out if ever I'm going to speak to people, or especially gay youth, is one of my defining moments. I've had several. To let me know that I had really garnered some success, because prior to this aha moment with myself, I was just, I'm just going through the motions, I'm just floating.
Right.
But then I realized, I said, my mother gave me the greatest teaching, or the best note ever. And that was, and I don't think she realized, I don't think a lot of parents, especially Black parents, realize when you say and when you get a whooping for saying, you better not, did you do such and such? Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't you lie.
Better not lie now.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
I never lied about who I was. I never ever lied about anything. And it is true that it is rewarding.
Yeah.
Living
in your truth.
It has been rewarding. Had I lied, I would not be where I am now. Had I been a person who likes to play hide and go seek,
Right. To blend in.
I would not have been where I am now.
Yeah, that's
I would
very
not be able to be a part of the stories that I think are now being told the way they should be in relation to blending real families together. When I say families, I mean society.
Right.
Yeah.
It's special to me.
Yeah.
It's really special.
It has to be great to be a part of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
you're
basically
helping shift.
Exactly.
You're helping to shift.
Yeah, it feels good. It's important. It's more than anything, it's a duty.
It's very important.
Yeah.
And like I was having a conversation with Miss Lawrence earlier, I was telling Miss Lawrence that, we felt it was important to have Miss Lawrence on the show because it shows all aspects of the culture. We're not just here for certain parts of the culture. We embrace everything that is the urban culture, the hip hop culture, the Black community, and we cannot negate those persons like Miss Lawrence that is a shining light for somebody, for being them authentic selves. So we appreciate you for being your authentic self.
I could talk all day, but I can talk all day. Is what I had to learn is I've always heard the expression, we are one, we all exist, but it's some real shit.
No, it really
It's
is.
some real shit. You're in me, I'm in you. Vice versa. It's some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way, I think it's important for us to realize where we come from in terms of our spirits and how we operate. I say all that to say, one of my biggest challenges that I've overcome now, thank God, is my relationship with heterosexual Black men.
Damn, that's deep.
Yeah, and it was there wasn't one. There wasn't any at first. I would not. What Black straight
Yeah.
men used to do to me, I would
do
do to
to
them.
them.
And that was turn my head,
Stereotype,
not
engage,
acknowledge,
not willing to have a intimate, genuine conversation.
it non-existent. And if I felt like it was done to me first, and out of retaliation and out of defense, that's what I did, And I had to learn that it's actually not fair for me, who knows better to know that I've been given so many incredible opportunities and I was ready for them, that I don't acknowledge that my brothers and fathers in this thing we call life did not have the same aha moments that I did. And so it's important, opposed to shun away or ostracize, to share and be enlightening to them. What helped me with that was when I was invited twice to the White House under the Obama administration. And one time was Barack Obama had a Pride celebration brunch, if you will, at the White House. And the second time I was invited to his farewell party that he had. So at this party, everybody, it was actually BET covered it, so they shot the concert portion of it, but what they didn't show was the after party that was inside the house, and no phones or anything was allowed, so I couldn't capture the moment. But I'm in there, and I have on this big, huge gold kimono. I had a red lip on, I had a shoe on with these pearls on. It was a full show. And I'm on that DJ Nice was DJing, and he was playing, the beats and everything. So I'm on the floor voguing and just carrying.
Getting your life.
Having a good time.
In the White House.
Right.
In the White House.
Mind you, this is a moment now.
For the culture. You
This
doing
is
it
a
for the
fucking
culture.
moment.
I was doing it for me because that's just what I felt at that
Right.
moment.
Right.
I felt like, the liquor was flowing, so I was flowing with it. There was pizza and fried chicken also, by the way, in the White House.
Don't we miss our president? Pizza and fried chicken.
For a lot of you bougie Negroes that like to have parties and think you got to have special situations.
Yes, pizza and chicken wings.
Yeah.
In the White House.
In the White
In the
House.
White House.
Damn,
And there was this one moment, I'm on the dance floor, and I'm turned this way, and everybody comes over, and they start going off,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, girl, I can hit a few beats here and there, but I'm not considered a vulgar compared to what I know it is.
Right.
And they're just screaming. And so Bevy Smith was there, and she's like, turn around. I turn around, and Barack was dancing with me.
Wow.
Barack was dancing with me, literally trying to figure out what I was doing.
To try to vote with you.
It was
God.
it was that moment. And I stood there, and I was dumbfounded. I was like, wow, then Janelle Monáe came up, and it was just a whole moment. But what in that instance, it was this Black heterosexual man, the most powerful man,
in the world, yes.
to sit in a seat, honey, and run a country, showed me, or he planted a real new blueprint of what love looks like.
Right.
And that made me change my trajectory and this idea of landscape for my relationship with heterosexual Black men. And, now I can go up to one of my brothers or whatever, and if I want to congratulate them on whatever, if I want to pay a compliment, and not be affected by what the response is.
Exactly.
Because I know everybody hasn't had my experience.
Right.
I ran into this guy who manages Burberry. He's a Black guy who manages Burberry. He has a beautiful family. And I went into the store. The last designer just retired, and his
Yeah.
final collection was dedicated to the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And specifically the homeless LGBTQ youth. And so a portion of the proceeds
Goes towards.
goes
yeah.
towards it was 3 foundations, I forgot which ones, but he did this line. It was like some rainbow stuff he did. It was all that runway stuff. So I like nice stuff, but I don't always just run out and go buy runway pieces. But I got up and I said, let me go and get it. And I went and bought some of the pieces. And the manager there who was working with me, I said, this is very important for me.
Right.
And I told him, I said, I grew up and I've had friends who have been extremely disenfranchised because they chose to be themselves and, been ostracized from their families and stuff. I said, so this is very important to me to be a part, to be able to buy or whatever. And he said, I have to tell you, I never even thought about it or thought about paying respect to the community because I was very antithetical to the culture. He said, but it wasn't until this designer did this collection and they made all of us go to these classes and this training about the new collection that they showed these videos and had all these different testimonial stories and stuff about
The youth.
being cast
Yeah.
out away from society because you're gay. And the horrible, disenfranchised stories that he was like, he said, I felt so convicted.
Right.
He said, I felt so convicted that my gay, I think he said nephew, I invited him to come stay with us afterwards.
Right.
So that lets me know that where we are in media, where we are in social climate, while a lot of people, we feel like we're having a lot of setbacks because of a lot of injustices that are going on. But never ever has there been a time where every type of person has had a voice
That's true.
and been able to use it. So I think that's an ode to social media and where it's gone,
Right.
And we appreciate, you taking your time to come sit with us with Dope in the Garage. We appreciate you for your activism and your action and your community service.
Correct.
To your LGBTQ community, to your Black community, and to any other community that you feel
Connected
is
to.
connected to.
Yeah, exactly.
If more people got out and did that, the world would be a much better place. And shouts out to Barack Obama for breaking it down with the fried chicken and having a Vogue
making it a
battle
dope
against Miss
moment.
Lawrence.
Yeah.
Right. Like
So,
that's. Whew.
I don't say he was voguing, but he was just
He was
trying
doing what he could.
He was trying to figure out what I was
doing
giving.
it, right.
I'll
That's
say
just
that.
like you said. That's an amazing moment. That's an amazing
Yeah.
moment right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we thank you for coming out, Miss Lawrence.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. We know everybody look out for Miss Lawrence this September on the premiere of season 3 of
Yes,
Star
on
Yes.
Fox.
on the Bigger and
Cannot
Better
wait.
Things.
Yes.
And we hope to see you come back. Promise us you'll come back.
I don't
Promise you
make
come back.
promises, but I don't make promises.
That's real. That's
I don't
real.
make
That's
promises,
real.
but I would love to come back. I'll say that.
We would love to have you back.
Yes, we would.
Whenever you want to come back, you're welcome to promote whatever
Thank
you have.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We'll-
y'all.
Thank you so much. This has been great.
We'll be right back after this.